Okay, we have to take a motion to reconvene the committee of the whole meeting.
So
Motion to
moved.
reconvene.
Second. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And with that, we've completed the business of the committee of the whole meeting, and I'll declare the meeting adjourned. Okay, noting the time is 5 p.m., I'll call the regular meeting of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board for October 9th, 2025 to order. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Alper.
Present.
Commissioner Forney.
Here.
Commissioner Menz.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Rucker.
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Here.
Vice President Musich.
Present.
President DeBenny.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. The agenda is before us. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? I think I'll only comment that we'll be advancing a resolution from the,
Oh, sorry, you had something from.
Admin and Finance Committee, if it passes the Admin and Finance Committee. So other than that, any other discussion? Okay, seeing no lights, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We have one set of minutes. Would somebody please move the minutes for discussion and read the date?
I'll move the regular meeting minutes of September 25th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And with that, we're going to move to reports of officers, and I'm pretty excited. We're going to have a presentation tonight, but I'm going to turn things over to Superintendent Bangora.
Thank you, President Benny and Commissioners. We will go through, of course, our 5 strategic directions and connect some of the wonderful work that we do as an organization throughout this last several weeks or month. So strategic direction A, act boldly for our climate future. Tree watering party. The Forestry Department, in partnership with the Field Regina Northrop Neighborhood Greening Committee, hosted a tree watering party at McCray Park on Tuesday, September 23rd. Newly planted and mature trees were given 500 gallons of water, and a group of community volunteers came to help. They say many hands make light work, and that is even true with little hands. The child care group at McCray also helped. I don't write these. It's good. Strategic direction B, cultivate each community place and honor culture traditions in Minneapolis parks. Welcome back, Annunciation. On Wednesday, September 17th, the Annunciation Catholic School hosted a Heroes in the Park event to help reintroduce children to police officers in safe and supportive setting. The event brought together several partners, including Park Police, Minneapolis Fire Department, Minneapolis Police, Hennepin County EMS, and the Minneapolis Emergency Management. NPRB staff played a key role by coordinating activities for youth with participation from Recreation, Asset Management, CCVP, and Park Police. Feedback from the day was overwhelmingly positive. The director of Washburn Center for Children noted, "This was the most impactful event I've ever been a part of in my 25 years of doing this work, and it is largely due to the NPRB team. Thank you." A special shout out goes to Steve Thompson, Becky Lewis, Abby Schrader, and Chief Ojado for their leadership and coordination for making this event a success. Incredible gratitude to the team. Strategic Direction C, implement quality youth and intergenerational programs. A Wamedy Festival. The 2025 Wamedy Falling Waters Festival will take place on Saturday, October 18th from 11 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. We are really excited to share this year's festival. We'll span both sides of the Mississippi River, offering a celebration of indigenous culture, music, food, and history. Musical performances will include Jackie Bird, Laura Hugo, and Blue Dog, along with appearances by the Twin Cities Intertribal Dancers and the Bear Runner Drumming Group. The festival will be highlighting the culture and historical significance of Owamni, the Dakota name for the falls, meaning turbulent waters. The Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board is proud to partner with Awamni Odiakapi, or OO, I probably said that wrong, so I apologize, the nonprofit organization that will begin transforming 5 acres along the riverfront in the coming years. The event is generously funded by the grant from the St. Anthony Falls Heritage Board. Attendees will find Indigenous-owned food vendors, arts and craft vendors, nonprofit partner booths, and opportunities to participate in traditional games such as lacrosse, the plum stone game, and the moccasin game. As guests walk across the recently reopened Stone Arch Bridge, they will also have the opportunity to listen to the newly installed Awamni audio tour, offering stories and historical context about the falls and their importance. Strategic Direction B, care for park assets to meet evolving needs and practices. Environmental Stewardship Rodeo. On Wednesday, September 24th, Environmental Stewardship hosted the first Division Rodeo at Neiman Fields. On a picture-perfect fall morning, the Environmental Stewardship team came together to celebrate our very first Division Rodeo, a day packed with learning, laughter, and a whole lot of friendly competition. The energy was high, the competition was fierce, and the teamwork was inspiring. Whether you were testing your plant knowledge, showing off your excavation skills, or conquering the obstacle courses, there was something for everyone to enjoy. Our inaugural rodeo was a success thanks to the creativity, planning, and hard work of our incredible committee. From Environmental Stewardship, Jeremy Barrick and Abby Schrader. From Asset Management, Josh Hartman, Sean Hockett, Aaron Madelman, Brian Massich, Mike Schweiger, and Dale Walker. From Environmental Management, Emily Bowers. From Forestry, Shane Lampman and Danny Schuworth. A special thanks to our partners. Aaron Briner from Visitor Services hosted the event. We had tables hosted by Kendra and Courtney, HR, Kendra and Courtney, Risk and Safety, Jolene Crum, ADA, Jill Moe, and Archives, Angela Salisbury. We had Adrian Waters from CCVP with a pop-up park, and Angela Donahue from Communications photo documenting the event. Congratulations to all the 2025 rodeo champions. Your skills and spirits set the bar high for years to come. And I can't even express to you what it was like that day out there. It was absolutely incredible. And my incredible gratitude goes to Jeremy Barrick and his team. And Jeremy will say all the wonderful people that worked with him to put this on. It was absolutely amazing and inspiring. So really, really thank you. It was wonderful. Strategic Direction E, steward our natural resources. Quaking Bog. The boardwalk at the Quaking Bog is at the end of its usable lifespan, 30 years, and is being replaced this fall. The decrepit condition of the current boardwalk makes it difficult to park patrons to stay on the path, with many sections partially underwater. When park patrons are forced to walk off-path in the bog, we see negative impacts on the bog's sensitive environment. To prepare for the new boardwalk, environmental management staff and the Conservation Corps crew have taken on the laborious process of removing the old boardwalk materials. Once installed, the new boardwalk will help to protect the bog's habitat by providing a safe and dry walk day and reduce the amount of damage caused by off-trail bog access. With that, President Benny and Commissioners, that is the report of officers on the amazing work that we do as an organization, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions regarding that for the superintendent? Okay. Okay, well, we're going to move to reports of appointees to outside boards, commissions, or committees, and we're going to do we have a few things to cover under this category tonight, but we have some special guests here tonight, and I believe I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent who will introduce them.
Yeah, thank you, President Benny and Commissioners. Again, this is, I'm really excited about this. These wonderful people that are here today, and I'm just going to go and stay on script. So, as many of you may know, Minneapolis Meets is our city's destination marketing and tourism organization. Meet Minneapolis promotes what makes our city special, and by doing so, they drive tourism and bring hundreds of conventions, groups, sporting events, and conferences to Minneapolis and the Minneapolis Convention Center, contributing to tens of millions of visitors that come to our metro region each single year. We have partnered with them on many projects and will continue to deepen our relationship. as they advance their 10-year tourism master plan, as our parks are the key asset that they highlight to tourists. Here to share more about our parks and connectivity in tourism is Meet Minneapolis President and CEO Melvin Tennant, Senior VP of Destination Branding and Strategy Courtney Reese, and VP of Destination Development and Public Affairs is Abby Paskey. Did I get that right? Close. And it's really, and I'm very excited for them to be here today. And, just really, I know we've talked about this, President Ben and I, and we always talk about the importance of our park system to the city. And I always say it's a city within a park. And these wonderful partners of ours that are here today is really an honor. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to President Melvin Tennant.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, President. Appreciate the opportunity to present before this great body. I'm here to basically tee it up for our staff experts, but I do want to give you just a little bit of a background on Meet Minneapolis and the partnership that we have with you. So this is what we plan to cover in a very short amount of time. We know that we're on a time frame, but this is going to move quickly. That's a good shot of our team. But we want to let you know that we are, as the superintendent said, the marketing organization for the city of Minneapolis. We're here to create economic impact and economic development through bringing visitors and conventions and events, as the superintendent said. And we live by the core values that you see here of service, collaboration, passion, inclusion, and integrity. We have a wonderful team, as you saw in the previous photo. And let you know how we do our business. We are, in a broad sense, have three customer groups. The first customer group is meeting and event sport planners, people that make decisions on where these events go, whether it's a Super Bowl, whether it's we've actually had the Rexon Park National Convention here a number of years ago. There's somebody within an organization that makes that decision, so that is one category of customers. The second category is the actual convention attendee, because when you have a convention, you want people to show up. And then the third category is leisure visitors. So there's a lot of interplay between the three, but those are the major buckets of opportunity that we pursue. We don't do this in a vacuum. We are very happy to have a number of partnerships within our community to help us do the job of tourism marketing. And as you can see, of course, our Minneapolis Park and Rec Board is on among those great partners, but the county, Hennepin Arts, Hospitality Minnesota, Delta Airlines, public and private partners that help us to do our job of creating tourism opportunities for our community. And just to kind of frame up how we work with the parks, our branding integration really began in 2011 when we adopted the tagline City by Nature. So that's been going on for a long time. So that's baked into the way in which we market the city and the community. The Destination Master Plan, we've actually had an opportunity to have the superintendent and other members of the team here give us feedback as to how to develop our 10-year long-range destination master plan. And we're certainly able to share that with you at another occasion. There's always ongoing staff level collaboration. We always have great response from the team here, so we're very proud of that. And as you probably know, the superintendent has a seat on our board of directors at Meet Minneapolis, so we have a tremendous amount of integration within these two organizations. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Abby and tourism trends related to city parks.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. Good evening, commissioners. I'm going to talk about the trends that we're seeing as it relates to parks and tourism across the U.S. I'm going to give a little bit of information on the data and insights that we have specific to Minneapolis, and then I'll talk a little bit about how parks are an important part of our marketing and how we help visitors find our way to the parks. So, as you can see, rest and relaxation, which the parks both offer, is a growing motivator for leisure travel across the United States. Nearly 50% of Gen Z and millennials are planning leisure trips that enhance their physical, spiritual, and mental well-being, again, which we know that our parks support. And more travelers are looking for opportunities to enjoy both urban settings and nature, which we know that our parks can deliver on. Outdoor options are important to people when they're planning their itineraries and they're making their trip decisions. And in recent U.S. travel industry report, 59% of U.S. travelers reported to participating in outdoor adventure activities on their trips. So outdoor activities in parks are a big motivator that help influence people's decisions when they travel. And specific to fall traveling, we see the same thing. So we see leisure travelers including outdoor activities and the parks as part of their itineraries. And finally, as you all are probably aware, parks are assets to any destination. And we know that our parks are some of the best in the country. Melvin was just at an industry conference, a national industry conference, where the city of Seattle was very proudly branding their city as the city with 6,000 acres of parks. And a quick Google search told me that we have over 7,000 acres of city parks. And so it's something that we really can and should be and are leaning into as an asset to our destination. So anecdotally, we all have stories about how visitors enjoy the parks. I had friends here in January, and they were skating on Lake of the Isles, and they were sledding at the farmstead, and I had relatives here in September walking at the Stone Arch Bridge and enjoying lunch with bread and pickle. But what does the data that we have say? So this is resident sentiment related to the parks. So in our Destination Master Plan resident survey, we found that parks matter to the quality of life of our residents. And over 90% of residents found that they were important or very important to their quality of life. And over 80% of residents were satisfied or very satisfied with the quality of the parks. And this is important because our residents are our frontline marketers when it comes to tourism. They help influence what visitors choose to do while they're here, and they help us amplify the city's brand and attractiveness to prospective visitors. We also know that one thing that visitors appreciate greatly about Minneapolis is its scenic beauty, and for which we have the parks to thank. We also have some survey data from folks who visit Minneapolis, and what this says is that whether they are day trippers, so day person trips, or overnight trip visitors, our parks are a top 5 activity. Just one caveat with this data, this is self-reported Minneapolis, and so you'll see casinos on here and you'll see shopping. And so someone who comes to the Minneapolis region might be at the Mall of America and say that they were shopping in Minneapolis. So this is not really geographically specific, but it's what people perceive as Minneapolis. So these parks and playgrounds are a top 5 activity for visitors who come here. And then finally, visitors from 50 plus miles away make up over a third of all traffic to the parks. And of these visitors, of these 30% of visitors, 2/3 are from out of state. And we have this data from Zartico, which uses cell phone data. We know that the parks is moving forward with some Placer AI, which is similar to Zartico in how they track where people are visiting. So what this tells us is that parks necessarily aren't driving people to Minneapolis, but they definitely, we know from this data that they are enhancing people's experience while they are here. And it's no accident that visitors are paying attention to the parks. Not only are our parks beautiful, of course, but our marketing efforts at Meet Minneapolis help people find and experience the parks. As Melvin mentioned, our tagline is literally city by nature. So we have, luckily, the opportunity to market park content in our year-long marketing efforts, thanks to the beauty of the many seasons that we have that help us tell our story as a city. And many of our parks and nature content is standalone material, so we highlight all the various ways that visitors and locals can make the most of our city by nature. We create itineraries and suggested lists of things to do, and the parks fall into the top 10 in terms of things to do when you visit Minneapolis for the first time. We also heavily highlight and promote the parks in social media, which we have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, either as standalone experiences or part of a list or itinerary. There's some more from the social media. And then events are a top driver of visitation to Minneapolis, and promoting key visitor events is a main focus of our marketing effort. So we like to promote the amazing and wide variety of activities and events that the park board puts on year-round. And this past year, we've been especially excited about the increase in activity that you all have been doing in the downtown area and parks, so we appreciate that. So how else can we continue to deepen our relationship in ways that'll help both of us? We came up with some areas where we hope to continue to strengthen this partnership. We hope that the park board will continue to share our content with your audience, as well as your assets, your photography and video assets, so that we can continue to market you better. We hope that you will continue to submit visitor events to our events calendar, to which there's high traffic, and also share data on visitation. So as you continue to improve your data and data collection, that we hope to use that in ways that benefit both of us, and we can market it better to our visitors. And then finally, some areas that we think could help the visitor experience, and suggestions for the park board to consider to help residents fully appreciate all of the work and our parks as a public good. A local and regional visitor awareness campaign, increasing connectivity of downtown to neighborhood parks. We know that we get a lot of visitors to the convention center, and it's really important for us to help them find the parks. And so to the extent that we can continue to strengthen that, that's great both for visitors and for our parks. And then we hope to continue strengthening or see a continued effort in these signature events that you all run that are both our visitors and our residents enjoy so much. And then finally, we know it would be helpful for visitors for the park board to really own the information in other channels, particularly Google. And I have a quick visual to help you understand what we mean by this. So right now, when you search on Google, one of the parks, it's hard to tell what is exactly there, what the hours of the building might be, if there's a restroom, if there's a splash pad. So one of our suggestions is just for the park board to continue to strengthen and own their presence on these super apps that we know visitors use so widely. So in sum, the parks matter, not just to our residents. I'm a resident, and they matter to me greatly, but they matter to our visitors as well. And we're excited to continue to promote the great work that the parks are doing, and we are grateful for this partnership, and we look forward to continuing and strengthening in ways that are mutually beneficial. So with that, I will stop for questions for me, Melvin, or Courtney, who is our VP of Marketing.
Thank you so much for that presentation. There was a lot of interesting content there. And first, we'll ask the commissioners if they have any questions or comments. Vice President Musich.
I'm curious to understand how you're marketing parks as part of the visitor experience for people that are coming here for events. Are you providing, like if they're coming for a conference, are you providing them with like here's a list of must-do things while you're in the city as part of their welcome packets? Or how does that marketing component work?
I'll pull up Courtney to help answer that.
So we work with meeting planners to help kind of seed information. So we do have a visitor center at 5th and Nicollet that contains parks information, also at the convention center. And then we also have a rack card that is a mini guide, which Abby may even have with her, and a couple of pieces of information also around our cultural districts that do include some of the parks content. And so we also distribute those materials as well. Most traffic, honestly, is coming through search, but we know that some of those textile things still capture people's attention as well.
Okay, so if there are particular areas in the park system where we don't see as much activity as we were hoping to see, can we be seeding that type of information with you to say like, hey, this park's amazing. There's not a whole lot of visitor traffic here from other parts of the state or the metro. And we'd love to start getting maybe some of the pressure we're seeing in areas that are very highly trafficked, like the chain of lakes or Minnehaha Falls, spread out to some of these less burdened areas.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the ways, I used to live in Portland, and so this was a challenge for us with our park system as well. One of the things that we were able to do is we actually took some of our most popular content and we added, if you like this, then try that. So that is the type of content that we could particularly participate in, and if you have identified things where we can assist in that way, especially during those peak tension months, as you talked about with traffic, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Commissioner Forney.
Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for promoting parks. Hoorah, hoorah. I'm just curious if you've ever asked the question of, Minneapolis is what, the city of lakes? And whether or not you're finding that people are coming because of quote-unquote the lakes? Or are people actually realizing there is this river that is going right through us, and it's the only falls on the entire Mississippi? I mean, it's just a curious thing, how many people are totally unaware? And are you finding a switch?
I would say that particularly as it relates to international visitation, it's much more around the river because of the lure of the river, and there is a desire particularly to go to the headwaters of the Mississippi and to have that experience here. I will say that from a visitor experience, we still struggle to have some of that connectivity. You can be in certain parts of the downtown core and have no idea that the river is so close. And so sometimes we are working on trying to get people to see those through wayfinding and other opportunities, and we think that will also help open up some of those other assets for folks that are really staying in the downtown core.
Awesome. And then the other thing I was going to say that I'm not sure that people put their head around the fact that all of our bodies of water are accessible, publicly accessible. We're like Lake Minnetonka. So that uniqueness is just so powerful.
We think that it really speaks to the residents of the city, and as well as like what makes us unique and the accessibility that we have in our destination. That certainly holds true in the parks, and that's perhaps the most accessible thing that we have.
Thank you for your work.
I have to point out that Seattle is at least geographically twice as big as Minneapolis, and a paltry 6,000 acres. In your face, Seattle. And I'll also say, I used to work for the city of Seattle for a few years. 70% of the shoreline in Seattle, and they have a lot, is private. And here, almost 100% of ours is public. Commissioner Menz.
Thank you, President Benny. I'm excited that we're graduating to competing with a different West Coast city. It seems like we've beaten Portland out on the bike trails and all that stuff that they used to complain about. I also used to live in Portland, and Minneapolis is an incredible place for parks. I did see in the brochure that the Mississippi River is the #1 attraction that you're promoting, and I think that that's an incredible choice, that our city is definitely more international in that space. I think we have a lot of challenges to sort of meet that need for tourism down there. I was on the river yesterday canoeing with students, and there were multiple people on that river. That river is becoming recreational in places, at least in St. Paul. I mean, we ended at Harriet Island. So, working with Meet Minneapolis work with the park systems in both cities, because Minneapolis has one piece, but we're also connected, especially by the river, by St. Paul. So I'd like to understand how you will maybe work with them to also accentuate the parks there.
Well,
In
one
coordination.
member of my team is actually on their foundation board in St. Paul, so we are able to get a little bit of information in that regard. We do focus a lot right now on opening up the river in Minneapolis, as you talked about with that accessibility. I think Owamni Okediapi is providing a lot of that as well. Melvin, I don't know if there's more that you want to say as it relates to working downriver or upriver in that relationship.
We obviously have an ongoing partnership with those cities, so we do that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
If we could have people approach the mic so that people watching at home could hear, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
nothing else to add for him to say.
Well, thanks. This is great. I hope that we can get more people down there, because it's of extreme economic importance to our city to have people visiting, enjoying the time. And I also think for this board, it speaks to promotional items that we can do. Like, our parks should be the #1 attraction in this city, and they are. We don't market them well enough. My daughter lives in Vermont. They tout the fall colors. BS. People should be flying here for the fall colors. So like, there are different ways for us to market this city that I don't think we're always exploring. The grand rounds, I think that there are thousands of people around the world who would come to this city if they had a complete grand rounds. There would be economic opportunity everywhere. So we have $5.5 million going to that now. We need more. We need to figure out how we can complete that route, because that would bring some international attention to these parks.
Thank you for those comments. Commissioner Schaefer, I think, yeah, let's take your question.
Just
comment.
one quick comment in that I think the park board could think about invasive work along the riverfront that would open up. I just got an email last week from the U of M roaming folks where, you know, they hold regattas, but no one can see what's going on and you can't get the vision of what's happening. So I think it would be a challenge for us too to think how we can partner in opening up the river and from that standpoint.
Well, I won't completely close this item, but we do have to move to our open time, and we have these time certain things. So I think maybe it's, you know, I appreciate your coming. I probably have one more thing that I want to just share with the group here before we close this item, but we're going to move to our open time now. We have 4 public speakers, and then we have a couple of other time certain things. So with that, I will open time, and I'll read the rules briefly here. I will call on people from the speaker list only. To add your name to the speaker list, you have to call in before 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting, or you can add it before 5:30 on the night of the meeting. The time allotted for all speakers shall not exceed 15 minutes. We have 4 speakers, so we'll allow up to 3 minutes per speaker. You can't transfer your time to anyone else. This is an opportunity for the speakers to address the board. We're listening, but we don't respond. That said, please don't hesitate to contact any of the commissioners for dialogue and further discussion. To protect the privacy of individuals, please refrain from commenting on specific personnel issues or pending litigation. Discriminatory or harassing words directed at anyone will not be tolerated. And each speaker is asked to state their name and where they live. So with that, the first name is Dale Hume, followed by Lisa McDonald. Dale's not here, so Lisa McDonald, followed by Linda Johnson.
We go in, we have 3 people, can we go in a certain order?
You want to, okay, sure, Linda to go first? Linda Johnson first, yeah.
The Lindale Park Rose Garden, our country's 2nd oldest public rose garden, in 2028, it will be 120 years. With 4,000 rose bushes, the garden is beautiful for weddings, taking pictures, for visiting guests, and relaxation. 20 years ago, when I started volunteering, half of the rose beds were empty. Now rose beds are filled with colorful, fragrant roses by adding a rose gardener who is educated, a rosarian, and who loves roses. This garden is environmentally friendly because they use beneficial flowers instead of pesticides. He got rid of the Japanese beetles with flowers. He wards off deer by using garlic oil, When people tell me thank you, thanks to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Lawrence, followed by Lisa McDonald.
Good evening. My name is Mary Lawrence, and my family has lived about a block away from the Lindale Park Rose Garden for nearly 30 years. That's Park District 6. The garden has well served the people of Minneapolis, the people of Minnesota, and many guests to our state for nearly 120 years, as Linda just said. The Rose Garden now bears the features of longevity, to say it politely. And we need to bring our national treasure up to date. We believe a public-private partnership can do just that. Public is you, the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. Private is us, and maybe some others, but us for now, the Voices of the Roses, 501c3 that Lisa will tell you a little bit more about in a moment. Specifically, the vision to update our rose garden calls for improved accessibility, which now is not accessible to people that need wheels, wheelchairs, and walkers, enhanced sustainability, promotion of environmentally sound horticultural practices, upgrading the plumbing for our beautiful fountains, an irrigation system for the rose beds, erecting a long-lasting wrought iron fence to frame and protect the rose beds. I am here to ask for your support for the ongoing commitment to partner with Voices of the Roses for enhancement of the beautiful Lindale Park Rose Garden. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Lisa McDonald.
Hi, I'm Lisa McDonald, and I'm here to speak for Amendment Number 2 for the fundraising agreement between the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and Voices of the Roses related to the Lindale Park Rose Garden. I am the treasurer for Voices of the Roses in terms of the group. We are ready to begin fundraising in earnest for this project, and to that end, we have become a 501c3, have bylaws and an organization, and have opened up a bank account, the most important part, of course. We are expanding our board and revitalizing our website. We will be pursuing public, private, grant, and corporate funds towards the upgrade. We have some great fundraising ideas, which we are working on, that will engage the community and continue to create a stellar garden for residents and visitors. And the plan that we have been working on and which we've taken out to the public has been well received. We've done it in a small way, but it's been great. And I'm very excited about some of the things that we want to do for the garden. And thank you so much for your support.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, that's our last speaker. I'll close open time and we can move back to the previous discussion about the presentation from Meet Minneapolis. I don't know if commissioners have any other questions or comments. Okay, I'll just say a couple of things. You know, the Rose Garden is an amazing destination also for Meet Minneapolis, and it is in my district, and when I go there, it's really common to see people from other, maybe immigrant communities wearing traditional clothing and taking photographs. Like, that happens all the time there. It's surprising to me, actually, how much I see that there. The one thing that I was actually also really interested in with this partnership, and really the way in which I think the Park Board kind of quietly supports this tourism enterprise in our city, is the way in which it actually then kind of generates money that comes back to the city. And so in the form of local sales taxes. And I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that local sales taxes, they're earmarked for some certain uses, but they also can pour into the general fund, and in ways in which, well, I'll just say these local sales taxes are from related to entertainment, food and beverage, general retail, and lodging taxes. So again, if we're seeing a tourism to the city that is partly the draw is the parks, that seems to me to be some way in which we're contributing directly to the increase of local sales taxes. And as I said, there's some specific uses, but also those local sales taxes may be used by, for general fund activities or supported departments that enhance the economic vitality of the city. So it's something I think for this board to think about, the ways in which we actually are creating revenues that we could either tap into or should be recognized in other ways. So, okay, I'll move on from that topic, but thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for the presentation. So we do have two other public hearings here tonight, but we're still under reports of appointees to outside boards, commissions, or committees, and we actually have some appointments to make because we have a vacancy on our board now. So the first one that we need to do is we need to actually elect a representative to the Planning Commission. And I would take a nomination for that role. Vice President Musich.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Meg Forney.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, are there other nominations? And I'll say there are 4 meetings left this calendar year of the Planning Commission. Okay. I think Commissioner Forney is willing to do this, and I appreciate that. So I think we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of appointing Commissioner Forney to the Planning Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Forney. The other appointments that I'd like to make, we have the Lake Street Greenway Partnership. I'd like to appoint Commissioner Olson. We have the Metro Blue Line, the alternate position, and I'd like to appoint Commissioner Forney. We have the Internal Audit Committee at the city, and I'm going to appoint myself because I've served on that before. And then to our internal committees, Admin and Finance, Commissioner Schaefer as Vice Chair moves up to the Chair role and will fill one of the open seats then. Well, I wonder if we have to, we'll probably do this as also, I'll just say this will also be then the Vice Chair role, Vice President Musich. On the Legislation and Intergovernmental Committee, I would add Commissioner Schaefer as a member. On the Planning Committee, I will add Vice President Musich as a member. And on the Recreation Committee, I'll add Commissioner Olson. Okay? Are there other reports that anybody has? Okay. Vice President Musich.
Thank you, President Abeni. I will note that the Joint Endowment Committee has started meeting. We're working on putting forth a plan for how we intend to start marketing that and fundraising. My hope is that we will get to a place where we can report back to all of you on what that plan is before the end of our term, because I know many of us have worked really hard to make that happen, and I'm sure you'd like to see that advance to that point before you leave office. So that's what's happening there. Hopefully more to come in the coming weeks.
Thank you for that report. Okay, no other reports. We will go ahead and move to the consent business. Would somebody like to move this consent?
I'll move the
items?
consent agenda as a slate.
Second?
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no lights, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as a slate, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We may have time to move the first resolution from Admin and Finance Committee.
I will move Resolution 2025-177, resolution amending the 2025 Capital Improvement Program to allocate $200,000 from the Downtown West neighborhood portion of the Dibble-Hornstein Parkland Dedication Fund to improvements at Gateway Park.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2025-177, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
I'd like to move Resolution 2025-179, resolution approving the award for a construction contract to Ebert, Inc. in the amount of $1,852,000 for the Lupient Aquatic Center Changing Room Renovation Project. Under bid event ID number 3579, pending approval by the City of Minneapolis Finance and Property Services Procurement Division and Minneapolis Civil Rights Department, and further authorizing administrative use of a construction contingency up to $180,000 for necessary construction change orders that may arise, authorizing the transfer of $290,400 from the 2025 Logan Park Capital Improvement Plan, authorizing the transfer of $325,000 from the 2025 construction contingency balance, and authorizing the transfer of $100,000 in the 2022 capital levy funds from the Sioux Line Community Garden Project to the project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Commissioner Menz.
Yeah, I would like a little presentation on at least how the funding, it's really confusing to me, so I'd really love an update, because I've worked on this project and want to know how it's looking funding-wise and timelines, and
Okay.
so please.
Before we begin that, we'll have another time-certain item, so we actually have to, we'll pause there and I'll open the public hearing, which is the second public hearing for the naming of the 28th Street tot lot to Chickadee Park. I don't know if we want to do Secretary, was there going to be a presentation on that, or? I know we have a couple of people signed up to speak, and I see one of them.
Thank you, President DeBenny, Commissioners. Tonight is the public hearing, the second of two for the 28th Street Park to be renamed Chickadee Park. This request came to us from the Whittier Alliance. It was submitted to us on March 4th of 2025, and it was one of the first ones that we have started to kind of work through all of the steps of kind of the pre-consideration. Copies of this were provided to Assistant Superintendent Schroeder, myself, the neighborhoods, council member, and all commissioners. Details of this property. This property is currently named after the street which is located. Beginning in 1968, it was a leased property. It became our property officially in 2024, and it has been recently renovated. The community did quite a bit of engagement to determine this name. There were a few different options, but ultimately landed on Chickadee Park as its primary recommendation. After this public hearing, we would expect that the first vote would come to the Planning Committee on December 3rd, with the final vote on December 10th. To get to this point, we did complete all of the notification processes for the public hearings, and we're happy to see how community organizations also pushed out the notification for the hearings. And we needed all of the commissioners here related to the at-large and to the district, and we have achieved that, so we're very happy. I won't go through all of the other nominations and things because this is pretty fresh in all of your minds right now, and would let you move on to the public hearing.
Thank you so much. I see two people are signed up, and I know, I see one person in the room, and I believe he was here during the open time rules. They're basically the same. So I will first call the first name here, which is Councilmember Robin Wansley, but I don't see in the room. Second name is Kedar Deshpande. Welcome, Mr. Deshpande.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. I am here representing the Whittier Alliance. I serve on the board, and I'm in favor of renaming Chickadee, the 20th Street Tot Lot to Chickadee Park. I say that even though I was partial to Tater Tot Lot myself. But the people spoke, and it's a great name. And in all seriousness, I'm just really grateful to see that space reactivated. There are a lot of happy families and kids in Whittier that have come up to me and told me this. And we're also really looking forward to seeing the skate park built at some point in the near future, hopefully. So thank you to the park board staff, and thank you to the Whittier Alliance for the work in reactivating this space.
Thank you. Before I close the public hearing, I'll ask if there's anyone else here to speak to the naming of the 28th Street Tot Lot to Chickadee Park. Are there any other speakers here? Anyone else that would wish to speak? With that, I'll close the public hearing and we'll move back to the item we were discussing until we hit our next time certain time. But we were discussing Resolution 2025-179, and when we last were discussing it, Commissioner Menz had asked for a presentation. Welcome, Assistant
President
Superintendent.
Benny and Commissioner Menz, I might be able to answer it without a full presentation, but let me just run through because it's a fair question and the funding is complicated. To start, this was a project that was brought to us by the Minneapolis Parks Foundation with a donation from Barbara Lupient with a $500,000 donation with an intent to focus on a renovation upgrade of the locker room, the changing spaces, both the men's and the women's, the boys and the girls. Through the process of looking at that, we found other issues with the building. There needs to be some roof rehabilitation. There was other issues that needed to be addressed at the same time. And as we got the funding assembled, we realized we needed to pull other dollars into it. So this is, and I think the basis of your question, a lot of funds cobbled together to try and make an important project happen. So I'll just go through in order. The transfer of the $290,400 in the Logan Park Fund. Logan Park had funding in the 2025 and 2027 years of our CIP. We are not doing a project in 2026, so we thought we could allocate that money into this project, and then in the CIP that you'll see next week already, you'll see that those dollars are replaced into the Logan budget. So Logan comes out just the same as they would, and we're allowed to advance this project a little bit further, in addition to the funds coming from Mrs. Lupien. The second piece is the transfer of $325,000 from the capital contingency. So the capital contingency was a part of the MPP 20, which we set up in 2016 specifically to find dollars so we could advance projects. So this, as we approach the end of the construction year, this is a good opportunity to utilize those funds to keep moving this project forward. The second to the last piece of this is the transfer of the capital levy funds from the Sioux Line Garden project. And this is kind of a multi-step transfer. Those funds were originally in the mall park, and the board passed a resolution that no improvements would be made in the mall park until its time came up in the MPP 20 process. These are capital levy funds, which are outside of that and can be moved to other uses within the system. Those funds were transferred to the Sioux Line Garden project because that was a project with an immediate need for funding without a source. When we got bids for that, they came in significantly under our estimate. So we transferred $100,000 from there, leaving more funds than we still have extra funds at Sioux Line Gardens to take on some other things. And then the last piece of it was another $100,000 coming from Mrs. Lupien. So Commissioner Benz, it is very cobbled together, but a very necessary and important project. The improvements that we're making, beyond just the upgrade of conditions, the most significant thing we're doing is we're changing the way people enter all of the locker spaces. Every person entering the locker space has to pass in front of the manager's office or between the manager's office and the staff office. So it's very clearly visible. To this point, in the existing facility, the entrances to the family locker spaces and the women's, girls' locker room are on the north side of the building and not visible to staff. So the other significant improvement is, and speaking with Sarah Chillo, a really significant improvement for her swimming users is the addition of, I think we have now 7 or 8 family changing spaces within there, where we only had 2 before.
Can I respond or confirm? Yep. So thank you for that detailed description. Is Barbara happy? That's my one question. I mean, like when we get funding like this from donors who have donated for years and years, like it's important for us to really work and be creative to find solutions for things that are really important. Like this is going to improve. I mean, I think many of you have been to the changing rooms and the locker rooms there. They're kind of unsafe, and for especially for our Somali families and mothers, it presented a big problem. Am I reading this right, that because we're not doing the mall park project, this money was able to be redirected at Lupien?
President Benny, Commissioner Menz, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other questions or discussion? All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and take a vote then. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-179, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. We have another one, I think the next one coming from Admin and Finance? Okay.
Resolution 2025-191, resolution approving amendment number 1 to 2022 lease agreement with Pillsbury United Communities, Waite House leasing commercial space at Phillips Community Center located within Phillips Park.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of Resolution 2025-190? Roll call. I was just testing everyone. Secretary, will you please take the roll on this one?
Commissioner Alper,
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rucker.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Vice President Musich.
Aye.
President DeBenny.
Aye.
You have 8 ayes.
Thank you.
I will move Resolution 2025-194, resolution approving a 10-year lease agreement with the Minneapolis Parks Foundation for space in Ard Godfrey House located within Richard Shute Square, commencing January 1st, 2026.
Okay, this is also a roll call vote.
Second.
Is
I'll
there-
second that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no lights, Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Elper.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rucker.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Vice President Musich.
Aye.
President DeBenny.
Aye.
You have 8 ayes.
Thank
And
you.
lastly, I will move Resolution 2025-195, resolution approving a reconstruction and donation agreement, including a stewardship agreement between the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and Southwest Baseball Boosters related to Armitage Field Number 1, located within Armitage Park, a part of the Minneapolis Neighborhood Park System.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there discussion? Commissioner Menz.
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody could speak to this resolution and if we have other agreements with high school booster clubs for field improvements?
President DeBenny, Commissioner Menz. So this is the first of 3 that I've been working on over the last several months. So there will be coming forward to the board before the end of the year an agreement with, I believe it's MIBA, for improvements at one of the fields at Neiman. And then with the with 2 groups related to baseball for a Boston Field Park, and I forget the names, but it's the Roosevelt Boosters and maybe MIBA again.
I thought we had one with, there was a Boston donation agreement that came through a few years ago.
President Benny, Commissioner Benz, you're correct. There still is that one. I don't know of activity that's been going on with that, but as we get this one approved, I'll be trying to connect them with that fundraising effort.
Well, this is a good thing. And then I saw the stewardship agreement in there. So what is it looking like? I was kind of confused about how that stewardship agreement would be in place and what the hiccup will be with players or high school teams, helping with some sort of the field prep.
President,
Is that in that stewardship agreement or?
President Benny, Commissioner Menz. So with the Diamond Sports TAC, one of the recommendations was to find ways so that volunteers could take care of simple tasks on the field, like dragging the infield, repacking the mound and batter's boxes. What we're doing in this case is following up on that recommendation, where we'll have our staff essentially qualifying individuals from that organization so that they can be doing it, or they can be closely supervising others who are actually performing the work. This is something that they're already doing under a stewardship agreement. They just wanted to be able to make it more formal and have it extend for 10 years, longer essentially than the 1-year agreement that they have been working under.
And are we looking at other groups in the city who have similar relationship with the field spaces, but maybe not have these agreements in place? Are we looking to, advise them to find these agreements so that they can improve the field spaces as well?
President Benny and Commissioner Menz, I think to the extent that they're interested and they can find individuals who can be qualified by our staff to do it, I think they will be trying to do it. This is the first one that's really following through on the recommendations of the Diamond Sports TAC.
Okay, so this is the first step in training volunteers to make sure that they're doing what's appropriate on the field spaces and not ruining things that we feel trust. So there'll be like a certification type process?
President Benny, Commissioner Menz, I don't know so much certification, but at least making certain that we know the individuals who are supposed to be doing it. So we'll have our staff working directly with the staff from Southwest Baseball Boosters to identify a limited number of individuals who will be so-called qualified.
That's great. I think this is a big step for us, y'all. I think that this is, if we can sort of recreate these agreements with different groups within the city, this will go a long way to supporting the field spaces that we have available to us. So thank you for that work. Thank you for being open, and thank you to the Southwest Boosters for putting this forward. So I know that other groups will be doing so as well. And thank you for, the work in this board on implementing some of those TAC recommendations. So we have 3 more TACs. They will all come back with good recommendations. So please continue that work.
Thank you. Are there other questions or discussion? We do have another time certain item here at 6, so I think we do have time to take this to a vote, though. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-195, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And with that, I will open the second public hearing. This is a public hearing for the naming of the CPRO site to Parque Monarca. And we have, I don't know if we have a presentation for this one, Secretary Ringgold or Deputy?
President DeBenny, Commissioners, this is actually a nomination you haven't seen for a little while. I think you would have last seen this in 2024. This is for the CPRO site, changing it to Parque Monarca. This has been a process that was initiated by a board resolution, 2023-246. There had been another name proposed for this, and this resolution established a new name to put in the nomination, and it was nominated by Commissioner Alper. The nomination process, again, requires copies be sent to several individuals. All of that has been completed. Just a little visual of the park so that we can get oriented to it. Again, this is right along the Midtown Greenway. It's a 1.65 acre park. This land has been transferred to the park board, and we have accepted a grant for phase 2 improvements. Actually, that would have been a while ago. I would hope that all of that data is still accurate because I pulled it forward from the last presentation. We would anticipate after this public hearing tonight that we would bring this forward to the Planning Committee for a vote, just like Chickadee Park on December 3rd, and then to the full board on December 10th. We have fulfilled our requirements around public hearing notification, and we have all of the appropriate commissioners here. So we are in good shape. And I'll let you move on to the public hearing.
Thank you very much. So we have one person signed up to speak, Kate Ardeshpandi. And we'll give you up to 3 minutes because we can do that.
Good evening again. I'm here in support as a resident of District 3 for the renaming of the CPRO site to Parque Monarca. I think it's a wonderful name that really honors the Latino heritage of the community, and it also really ties very nicely with the work that the Midtown Greenway Coalition has done around establishing pollinator habitat in the area just in the last couple months. It's a wonderful name. Thank you for nominating it, and I think I look forward to seeing it as I bike by every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And with that, and I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And we'll continue down our agenda, and we are at unfinished business, I believe. Would somebody please move the next resolution, which is 2025-201?
I'll move 2025-201. Resolution approving a project labor agreement policy applicable to certain capital projects of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So I would actually like to see, I read through the documents, but I think it would be good to have a presentation and a chance for people to ask questions. Thank you very much, Assistant Superintendent Schroeder.
President Benny, you'll notice this is the fanciest part and the most exciting part of this presentation, just this little thing going on right here. So this is a project labor agreement, and I'll go through several aspects of this. And this stems from a request, a direction from the board to the superintendent to create the PLA policy. And I'll note that there's two things to be thinking about. There's the project labor agreement, what it is, and this is really on the policy, which tells staff how to be implementing a project labor agreement. A few things on a definition. What's important here is this is an agreement between essentially a contractor and the unions. The park board is a party to it because it's our project as the owner, but we are not a party specifically to the agreement. It establishes terms for employment during the term of that project that have a goal of delivering a project with greater cooperation, no interruption or work stoppages, enhanced efficiency, and greater productivity and quality in the end result. And as I noted before, we wouldn't be a direct party to the PLA. The purpose, cost-effective, timely, and safe delivery of construction projects. We're using skilled construction trades, and the construction unions, the trades unions, would be directing those staff to our projects through this process. Greater productivity and quality for our projects by using highly qualified trades personnel. Uniform terms and conditions of employment, and this is relating to integration of work schedules and standardization of work rules for projects, so that things are just more coordinated and flow better on the construction site. And also, importantly, these will happen without interruption from labor disputes. The policy itself describes the methods of making the project labor agreement binding for the parties that will be to the contract. Speaks to the creation of uniform job conditions. It notes that there will be a provision for referral of employees from union projects, and that qualified applicants do not have to be a union member to participate. It establishes binding procedures for disputes that might happen during a project, and provides for guarantees against strikes, lockouts, or similar actions. And for us in particular, we can rely on them to help us reinforce our workforce diversity goals. There were several things that were important for us in establishing where this would apply. This was raised by commissioners when we first talked about this. This is specific to capital projects. It doesn't apply to our collective bargaining agreements. This is specific to capital projects. We needed to establish some thresholds. The policy does that with the simplest one being a construction cost equal to or greater than $1 million. We can apply other things like the duration of projects, the number of trades that might be involved. If there are projects that need to be delivered by a certain time in order to satisfy our particular needs around park use or park users. And we can make a determination based on any or all of those criteria. If there is a project that the board would like to have advanced under a PLA, it can direct us to do that, and we bring that forward when you're approving a concept plan, which would be the time between when you approve the concept and us beginning the process of final design. Because the next time you'd actually see a project is when we would award a project for construction, a contract for construction. So we would incorporate the project labor agreement into our specifications. There's many kind of submittals that a bidder has to turn in. This would be one of them. They would have to have a signed project labor agreement in order to be eligible to receive a contract through the board. It allows both union and non-union contractors to bid. But if you remember from the first slide, it requires whoever the constructor on the project to enter into the agreement with the trades unions. We also created as part of this a model project labor agreement. We are provided with several different models, and I wouldn't necessarily pick and choose. I think if you were to look at this, the project labor agreement that we have formulated is probably most aligned with one that the Metropolitan Airports Commission uses. They have a threshold of $2.5 million, ours is $1 million. This becomes an essential element of our contracts for construction, and so we'll be working with Council Rice and his staff to make certain that it fits within other contract elements that we need to perform our work. And President Benny, that is it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there questions or comments? Vice President Musich.
Thank you, President Benny. I do see that we have a member of the trades union here, and I'm wondering if Mr. McConnell has anything he'd like to share with the board regarding the business before us this evening.
Good suggestion. Welcome, Mr. McConnell.
Thank you, Chair Benet and Vice President Musich. Thanks for the shout out and the invitation to come speak before you. Sorry, really appreciated working with staff on this. I really support this and I ask you guys to support this. The only note I have is I was out at the airport on Monday for their annual review of their capital plan. We had a little snafu with their thing where we had a project that was at $2.5 million and their policy says $2.5 million or more. So there was a little bit of back and forth between me and staff over that. They determined at the end of that it was important for them to make a determination based on the totality of the factors, not just not having the price be the sole disqualifying factor. So just wanted to bring that out because I think that's important, right? I don't think that any one factor, and then with conversation with staff, I think that's how staff would intend to proceed here as well. So that's the only note I would make, and just wanted to thank you all for your support for this, and happy to answer any questions if people have them, and have a good night.
Thank you. Vice President Musich, do you have anything else?
No, I think I'm good. I'm thankful that we were able to pull this together and have it be apparently a very smooth conversation, and I'm looking forward to voting on this evening. Thank you.
Commissioner Menz.
Yes, thank you, President Benny. Mr. McConnell, I actually have a question for you if you're available. I'd like to know how this agreement benefits the workers of the park board or union workers, because it seems like insulating against the strike. It doesn't, as a union worker, as somebody who is in a union, this doesn't seem to match with like what workers need and tools in order to negotiate when things are not going very well. So can you help me understand how this is beneficial to our workers in the trades, and also how insulating against work stoppages benefits collective bargaining?
Very philosophical question, right? So thank you for that. Our members pay me to basically this is my job to negotiate these agreements, right? This is a large portion of my job. We do a lot of work with the airport, with the University of Minnesota, Minneapolis Public Schools. We all have these agreements with some of our large healthcare systems as well. It benefits our workers because they know on these projects they're going to have a fair shot of competing for these projects, right? We have a lot of contractors, even when you have a prevailing wage ordinance, which the board has had for a long time. Contractors use the word cheat, right? They like to play games. They like to submit things that are not true. Having that union representative that has the access to the project to make sure that the terms and conditions of their contract are being upheld is the benefit to the worker, right? We have a long history of negotiating with our contracting partners. We have the ability to determine we don't want to do that, right? Just because you pass this policy, we may say, you know what, we're going to pause that, right? Like we may say we need some more leverage and we're going into negotiations. That happens. I would encourage staff to make sure that they track those deadlines and get those contracts in ahead of time if they have a critical project, so that we don't do that. So we have flexibility on our side to approve things. You have the ability on your side to determine which projects you're going to ask for agreements on. 99% of the time, there's not going to be an issue there, right? Once in a while, we've gone on strike, right? During US Bank Stadium, one of our own contractors, one of our own unions went on strike. That project did not stop. That project did not see a disruption. We've seen multiple times where we've taken things and we've handled them off of project labor agreements. So we can work through these things.
Thank you.
We know how to do our business.
Thank you. As somebody who's in a union, this just doesn't sit far with me. I will not be voting for this resolution, but I think my colleagues probably will be.
Thank you. Mr. McConnell, before you go, and maybe this is obvious, but to the commissioners, or maybe it's not obvious to me, but I think with the building trades particularly, there's a relationship with the union that's maybe different than an employed represented member of an organization, for example. So even for these large projects, the bench is still often the source for these project teams to form. Could you describe that process a little bit and the way in which the building trade member interacts with the union and with the project? I don't know if that's clear, but.
Yeah, I mean, so there's hiring hall, there's two different styles of union, right? Within the building trades, there's a hiring hall, strict hiring hall, like I'm an electrician, right? So if I get laid off, I go down to the hall, I sign what they call the book, and then as my number comes up, as I rise up on the book, there, we don't have no seniority, right? The only seniority is on that day. I've been a member for 25 years. If Michael comes in behind me, he's got 20 years, he gets, you know what I mean? I get first preference for that day, but we don't have seniority other than that. So people on that book, then they get a chance to bid on a call, and they go out to work, right, based on their order that they signed the book. The other option is some of the other trades have a solicitation system where they have to go out, they have to talk to contractors, they solicit their own work. And it's just basically like any other occupation, right? You have to go apply for a job and get interviewed and get hired. But there is, we have a pool of people, right? We know where, even in that solicitation system, we have contractors who call, hey, do you have members out of work? We know that they're out of work because they're not, they register with us, and we encourage them to go apply when so we kind of point them that way, right? So that's the kind of the variations. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's
It
kind of
does. And would a project labor agreement also help the union to understand the demand to supply the capacity as well,
Yep.
especially through the life cycle of a project?
Yep, so as a project comes up and you guys have approved it for the thing, so assuming you're gonna do an annual thing, similar to what the airport did, we just did 21 projects, I think, today with the airport. And they say, these are the projects we're gonna have throughout the year. As those come through and they go out through bid, we have what's called a pre-job. When the contractor is awarded that, they come in, they talk about how their peak manpower they're gonna need, what their schedule is gonna be, anything unique to the job. We talk about safety, concerns on the project, simple things like parking, like where people are gonna park, hours of work, any number of things get covered in that pre-job, and assignments of work is always a topic of conversation of who's gonna do what. So we work through that process, we know what's coming up, and we can inform our members when that project's gonna peak out, when they're gonna be hiring people, so we can kind of keep track of that.
That's very helpful, thank you. Commissioner Alper.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to add, I had the opportunity to speak to somebody with Food Workers Union yesterday, and I said, hey, project labor agreement, it's on our park board agenda tomorrow. How do you feel about this? And she said one of the things that this can do is ensure that workers who are not on staff but employed through employed by a contractor for a specific job, is to make sure that they are not undercutting park board wages. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but that feels pretty important to me, and for that reason, I'll be voting in support.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. Other questions, discussion? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, let me find it here on my agenda again. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-201, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
That motion carries. Okay. Next, we have a discussion item. We have the 2024-2025 LAPET Annual Report. And I think, I'll take a minute here maybe. All right.
There.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Actually, now you get to click. Let me just, President Benny, Commissioners, thank you as we sorted out the presentation. I have the opportunity to introduce Megan Cosgrove tonight. She's the Executive Director for the Lopet Foundation. She's here per our agreement with the Lopet Foundation to present the annual report. If you remember, last year we actually made a couple of amendments, so there are a few new thresholds that she will be talking about, and it also honored a change in their, basically their fiscal year. So this is now April 1st through March 31st. Megan came into this particular report about halfway through, so she started in November, so she doesn't fully own all of the work that came into it, but she will be presenting on all of it tonight. This relationship continues to be in good standing. This is a relationship where staff between both organizations meet 4 times a year. We talk about how the transitions are going between seasons. We talk about topics that are coming up. We also have a regular report that happens on any tree impacts. We have 2 times a year we meet to basically inspect the building and identify any needs or work we want to do together. So this is a relationship that we invest a good amount of time in, and the Lopet certainly meets us every step of the way. So with that, Megan, off you go.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, President Abeni and Commissioners. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present tonight on our annual partnership agreement. As Secretary Ringgold mentioned, this does cover April 4th, 2024 through March 31st, 2025. We feel the partnership with the Park Board is perhaps stronger than ever, and I'm grateful for the role that the Park Board staff has played in helping me onboard over the last 10 months. Last year, we engaged over 40,000 participants through our events, programs, and trailhead space. 16,000 of those were part of the Luminary Lopet, which is pictured here. And I think if you recall, a lot of this report is going to be about a lack of snow, but we got 4 fresh inches of snow on the day of the Luminary that really changed the landscape for that event. Also pictured here are Worth on Wednesdays, which are every other week during the summer. We have mountain bike races for people of all ages and skill levels. We also have ventured into more youth programming. You can see here there are young people getting to experience a short half-mile race, but it was their point of entry to racing. And then, of course, you know, we're well known for skiing, and we continue our commitment to the City of Lakes Festival and everything that comes along with that. Some highlights. We were very, very proud to open first on November 28th last year. And although we didn't have a lot of natural snow, we did have cool temperatures, which allows us to ramp up to 7 kilometers of machine-made snow, which made Worth a destination throughout the winter. We've talked a lot about how we have strengthened the partnership with the golf course team and the role of seasonal checklists and transitions. It's been very smooth the last 2 seasons. You can see here the variety of partners that we're working with to use the trailhead space. This is just a small sampling. But we are clearly a destination for everything from nonprofits to corporate retreats, weddings, bar mitzvahs, etc. We've doubled down on the commitment to the Alpine Learning Hill, and although this is growing, we are planning to extend our hours this winter to allow for more people to do downhill skiing and snowboarding. And we continue our partnership with Melanin in Motion to offer some of those. 2 years ago, I believe, we started our partnership with the Eloise Butler Wildflower Garden so that there's programming year-round. And over 1,400 people were engaged in that. And that included everything from nature carts, story time, knitting by nature, and nature walks. If you round up, and we don't even have a full scope of our volunteer hours, but it was over 7,000 hours last year. Summer programming continues to grow, and we're proud that the Nordic racing team that's based at Worth won Junior Nationals. Some of the things we did to improve the facility this year were adjusting the tubing hill for a safer run out, aesthetic improvements like split rail fencing. The park board did the majority of the work with this wayfinding project, but we definitely consulted and we're very grateful for those improvements. The customers are, we've definitely cut the number of people coming into the trailhead completely lost. It is incredible. New switchback berms for mountain bikers, and then habitat restoration, which kicked off last fall and this summer in earnest. But we'll be able to restore 49 acres surrounding the trailhead. We also are committed to the iconic oaks that are out in front of the building. Ongoing challenges that already have made improvements this part of 2025. We're hoping to improve the acoustics in the trailhead. That we do find that we don't have as many repeat customers as we would like because it's so hard to hear when there's large crowds. We're pleased that there's a parking study underway, and we hope that we can find solutions for that. We have the things we can't control, which is a reliance on snowy winters. But we are definitely working to find ways, as we mentioned last year, for instance, to continue to offer all things winter at Worth. If you drove around the cities last winter, it was brown. And then if you arrived at the trailhead, it was like a snow globe. And we want to double down on winter in those ways. We do acknowledge that we have aging snowmaking infrastructure and grooming equipment, and we'll continue to stay on top of that. And we've had many conversations with the golf course about the drainage issues, and I know there's progress being made on that front. If you look at season ski pass sales, they did dip again, and I think there's 3 reasons for that. One is that people aren't trusting that winter's going to happen, so they're just waiting to see if there's natural snow, because although we have 7 kilometers, it is pretty busy at the trailhead. And folks are hoping for more natural snow and beginner opportunities. The second is the opening of Battle Creek. There's a direct correlation there between the dip. And then I think we're just returning to pre-pandemic levels of engagement now that the world has opened up and there's a lot of opportunities in the winter. So that total was 6,486 season passes, and about 1,000 of those were high schoolers. If we look at our agreement goals, you can see here, customer satisfaction is relatively high and has stayed that way. One thing I want to emphasize with tubing is that we actually had plenty of opportunities for more people to come, but every single school release day last winter was frigid. And so the numbers dropped a little bit there. We're proud of the 908 youth engaged in camps throughout the summer. We're also offering MEA camp and winter camp. And there's actually 2,000 youth, as you see above, engaged in our junior Lopet and mini Lopet programs. And those youth have the opportunity to come to the trailhead, ski the trails at Worth on at least one occasion and oftentimes a dozen. Trailhead finance update. This is related specifically to the trailhead facility. So you can see here we're offsetting a lot of costs through our fundraising and our other programs. When we talk about the foundation activities beyond the agreement scope, we're really proud of our Juneteenth celebration in the Haha Wapadan Lupit Lopit, which I would love to invite you to next weekend. It's coupled with an Indigenous Peoples Festival, and we'll have over 20 vendors in attendance. I don't know if Coach Tate is still here, but we honored him at the Juneteenth celebration this year. Our Adventures program is continuing to expand to offer more programs for toddlers and younger elementary age kids. We're also expanding our senior programming, and we've seen huge growth in our SAIL program, which is on Mondays and Fridays. It's chair exercises, and that group has almost doubled in the last few months. The Lopet Littles is expanding so that we have a full continuum of engagement, and we're also expanding our high school programs. The nature-based program that we're doing complements what the park board is doing, and we have strong communication between our teams. We also received an LCCMR grant for our Stories of Connection project, which has collected the stories of Northside residents and their connection to Theodore Wirth Park. And those stories in turn have been turned into a story map, art, exhibits, one of which was based at the trailhead, and the other is now evolving and traveling throughout North Minneapolis. And in future iterations, we'll also hopefully have some permanent fixtures. New programming continues to expand art and paddling, and you can see that Junior and Mini Lopet are in 15 schools. When I want to go back to the Stories of Connection project, what's important there is that we're having town hall meetings and we're co-creating program with the community so that all people see themselves at the trailhead as a long-term goal. You can see here, I've highlighted a lot of these already, but we're really trying to be intentional as we partner with Park Board staff so that we can best serve the community. Recreation and Adventures has been sharing programming and have now expanded to ice fishing, and we had a lot of support for the Fishing with Fathers event we did a couple of weeks ago. We're collaborating on interpretive times to tell those stories of connection, and an interesting archive project is evolving. We're still committed to youth employment and making sure that our neighbors have an opportunity for employment at the trailhead. And this last slide just highlights by the numbers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I see one light with Vice President Musich.
Thanks so much for being here tonight. I was very excited to see the tubing on the screen and hear from several of my colleagues they've not been down the tubing hill. So I feel like, when that opens this year, perhaps we need an outing. So if you're excited to do that with me, let me know. I'll plan that for all of us. I also wanted to just take a moment to thank you and the entire organization for not just resting on your laurels, but building upon your success and continuing to expand the connections both to community, but also getting people active and in the parks. It's beautiful to see, and I'm very appreciative of that work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and the wayfinding thing was something that the Lopet's been talking with us about since we initially discussed this, and I don't see him in the audience any longer, but when John Olson and I were on the board together, so I think there he is. Several terms back, we were wayfinding was one of our big things that we really needed to do a lot of work on. So seeing that has finally happened and that it's actually easy to find your way around relatively is great to see. So thank you for all the work that you've done to help make that a reality. It's definitely being felt on the ground. I don't get people asking me how to get anywhere nearly as much as I did before.
And we're seeing more casual hikers coming in because of it.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And I think that was everything I had. So thank you.
Other questions or comments? I hope we have a lot of snow this year, and thank you so much for the presentation. I did have a coworker actually. He gets the season pass, but it's everybody go skiing at the same time, and the parking issue. And I don't know. I have no suggestions, but it's good that the place is in such demand, especially for the perfect days to ski, that it overflows. But yeah, thank you very much for coming down and talking to us.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, we have another resolution now.
I'll move resolution. This is under new business, resolution 2025-218. This is a resolution establishing the process and timelines to fill the vacancy created by Commissioner Thompson's resignation as the District 2 Park Commissioner.
Okay. We probably don't really have a presentation as much as a discussion.
Second.
Oh, thank you, Billy.
Oh, gosh, I keep forgetting. You guys have to get that second in there faster. And I'm already moved on by the time you guys do that. So I don't know, if Secretary, did you have a presentation on that or not really? So I think we should just have a discussion, and hopefully people had a chance to read the materials. But this basically follows the same process that we did a year and a half ago or whatever. Commissioner Olson.
Yeah, so I do like that we're waiting until after the election to do it. But part of the process or part of the reason behind wanting to fill this would be so that that district has representation, but we're kind of in a unique position where we know for a fact that that district will be represented by Charles Rucker. And part of me wonders, okay, so there's, maybe a couple meetings, and they're kind of important budget meetings. I really wonder if someone can come up to speed in that time, and if they'll kind of honestly be qualified to make that decision, and have a strong understanding of the process, and if it's kind of worth us going through that whole process. I don't know. Is it in ordinance specifically that we have to do this? I guess that'd be a question for you, Council Rice, because I would maybe say, maybe we just put it off. We know that that district is being represented in this vote, in our budget votes already, so.
Well, I'll call on Council Rice first, and then I'll call on Commissioner Rucker.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. Oh, it's on. I'll stand a little closer. Thank you, President Benny and Commissioner Olson. Under the charter, the authority to fill a vacancy rests with the board. If I recall, I can look up the charter. It says the board may fill it, so it doesn't per se require you fill it. However, this board has if you don't fill it, you're left with an even number, which could make getting to a majority an issue. There are also some issues that require a 2/3 vote, which will mean 6. It's an absolute number. It's not reduced by the fact that there's a vacancy. And generally, when this question has come up before, in my experience, I think I worked with Robin Smothers. They developed a website. I think there's at least a half a dozen or more vacancies that's occurred in my tenure being with the board. And in those cases, various times the board's always filled it. And one of the research things that I found in looking at it, there's a term in municipal law that derived from nature. Nature abhors a vacuum. If something is lost and it's absent, there's always a possibility that something else will fill that void. And I think just my own advice to the board would be, I know the time period is short, but my advice would be that it would be wise to just fill the vacancy if the board can through a process, just in case something happens to another board member, God forbid, in case there's a snowstorm, in case you need the vote to get to a majority, especially when you get to your budget decisions. And on occasions, as you saw tonight, there's always several leases and things like that come up. So that would be my advice.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll listen to other folks, but I think maybe I'm leaning no, but I can go either way, but I'll listen to.
Commissioner Rucker.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Council Rice. Even though I'm running unopposed, that's the next 4 years. That starts in 2026. So talking to some of the Northsiders, they do want representation besides me because I'm at large, so they want somebody in that position. I would say we should, expedite if we can expedite the process and, get somebody in here for District 2. So for me, I'm 100% behind, getting somebody in the position.
Commissioner Menz.
Thank you. I think we should fill the position too. I was wondering if we would move Commissioner Rucker to the District 2 position and then fill it at large. I've been trying to think about what would be the quickest and most effective way. Is there precedent for just the president appointing a commissioner in this process? And I think that after we went through the last process, I did not necessarily feel good about how that process played out. I know that people in the community and people who went through that process wasn't necessarily the most effective way to do it. So, we elect a board president. I don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody about this. I'm just wondering, what is an effective way to fill these vacancies? Especially, we've had 2 of these already. So
So I'd put the resolution forth, and I'll tell you my thinking on that a little bit. I think that Council Rice is looking for the rules. I think it requires a 6-person vote to appoint someone to the board. But I think if we think about the last process we went through, that was for a much longer duration. It was a citywide seat, so we had a big applicant pool. In this case, I think we'll probably be lucky to get even just a handful of applicants. We've omitted the meet and greet, the wine and cheese event. There was no wine in the lobby of this building. So I think that we're making it go quickly, but we're not accelerating it. So I think I want to do it in balance and be reasonable. For the reasons that Council Rice said, I think it'd be better not to go into these last few meetings of the year with an even number of commissioners or risk having the right majority for certain types of votes. And I'm hoping that people that will apply will be maybe people that have some background in service in various ways, and will just, be thoughtful members of the board for a short period of time. I'm going to move to Vice President Musich.
Thank you, President Benny. I'm going to agree with Commissioner Rucker on this. We appointed him to join the board as an at-large commissioner. He right now is serving to represent every person in Minneapolis. And while he is running for the District 2 seat, that's not the sole constituency that he's representing right now. So I do feel that it's important that we do appoint someone to represent the North Side. As a former North Sider myself, I would want to have someone up here representing me, even if it's just for a few meetings. There are quite a few people that have extensive knowledge of the park board that live on the North Side that have been, deeply involved in the organization, both serving as commissioners and also serving on committees. So, I think there is a very high probability that we will get people that apply to serve in this capacity that will be a great fit to help us finish out the year together. So I was also, glad to see that we're not shortening the amount of time that people can become aware of this opportunity to serve, because we feel like we have to rush it. I'd rather we, give people the time to both figure out that it's an opportunity to think about it and then also to apply. So I'm feeling pretty good about this, and I'll be supporting the resolution before us this evening.
Commissioner Forney.
Thank you. I'm very supportive of this, and I say that because the institution has experienced this, and it worked very well. Tom Baker is the best example, and I just feel very confident that we will attract somebody who has a knowledge base that is essential to represent that community. One thing I wanted to add is the possibility of the night that we actually decide, that even the possibility of swearing somebody in at that point, because then they will have access to all of the necessary park board agendas, et cetera, to prepare them for our budget decisions, which I think are very, very essential. Those are the next few meetings, or those last few meetings, are incredibly important. And I just wanted to throw it out there as a possibility of if we could legally do that.
Commissioner Alper.
Yeah, thanks for putting this forward. I appreciate the process, and I think it worked as well as any appointment process can go last time around. And I think you've learned from what you put forward shows our learnings from last time as well. I mean, but that said, I guess I'm a little concerned about the timing of this all, that we're creating a lot of noise at a time when it's a critical election, and we're in our city, and the process of soliciting people to be part of this important role is happening in the week plus leading up to the election, and then the decision coming the night after. And I just feel, because we're so close to finishing out our term, so close, I think we should consider not filling the vacancy, given the number of meetings, and we're literally throwing somebody fresh into the fire, not into the fire, into the fun of our budget cycle. So I I would just caution us there, because are we just trying to get, butts in seats mentality here, or are we truly trying to have somebody who understands the work and the critical nature of what we do here? So I'm kind of inclined to vote no, and I think we're united on most decisions, and I would say I don't think anybody's going to torpedo the budget here. In order to get past any budget amendments, we need 5. We need a majority. So if it's 4-4, then it fails. I think that's just the reality of the situation. And so I guess I wonder what really will change by having an extra person here who's really fresh, right before we go into one of our, our big decisions of the year, and also knowing that that seat will imminently be filled, and not wanting to confuse people at the same time with who their representative is, and create more discourse around the District 2 seat when we've got other city council seats that have pretty critical races, as people here know. So I guess that's my inclination at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rucker.
Yeah, as a Northsider, I don't feel like it's just putting somebody in the seat. Northside has always been where they don't have representation, and we're going through that. I live in the 5th Ward. We're going through that right now. We don't have a city council member. People are up in arms about it. We need representation on the north side. Well, if you're gonna give me 2 votes, I can do both. I can do both, the 2nd district and at large, but, we need representation over north. So, 2 meetings, whatever it may be, I think the same will go with any district up here right now. If that happened, they will want representation. So, like I said before, I'm behind this 100%. As me being a Northsider, we need representation.
And I really appreciate that point of view, and I take that to heart. And it is 4 meetings. It is up to 4 meetings. So, Commissioner Menz.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Alper, for your comments. I do think that it could possibly be, we want representation on the north side. I just don't know about the length and the time, and I think we elect a president for a reason. I think that sometimes if we're going to have these processes go through, I think the board really should consider, it would be a lot simpler for the president of the board to find someone who represents the north side, who would be one of those applicants, to put that person through.
Council Rice.
Yes, Madam President, just to be clear on that point, Commissioner Mentz, the city charter requires or sets forth the process by which you make a replacement, and it's 6 affirmative votes by the park commissioners. So as to your point, you'd have to change the charter on that under the...
I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that the president would nominate individual people who were going through the application process, but taking out a lot of the free-for-all of it, that just it funnels through you, President Abeni, and then we put forward the first person, we vote our 6, and then that person's in that seat. I just think that Commissioner Alper brings up a good point, that it's just we're elevating this seat, which is important, but I don't know if we have to elevate that process.
Okay. Is there other discussion? Commissioner Schaefer.
I'm supportive of moving forward. I'm always one for consistency amongst our term, what happened previous round, and with the idea that pool will probably be narrowed. I will support this direction of moving forward. I think it's an important one, as much as I'd like to give Commissioner Rucker 2 votes, but.
Okay, I don't see any other lights, so the resolution could go forward with we could vote on the resolution right now. The resolution is somewhat prescriptive, guys, and there's no amendments here, so
Let's do it.
okay, we're gonna just vote on this puppy. So, all those in favor of Resolution 2025-218, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, that motion carries. And with that, we're going to recess the full board and go to the committee. Admin.
Yes, I'd like to call the Admin and Finance Committee to order. Can I have someone please move the agenda?
Also move the agenda. Got roll call.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while, sorry. Secretary Ringgold, can you please call the roll?
Certainly, one second. Point of clarification from the president. Did you appoint somebody to this committee tonight? I missed.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yes, Vice President Musich.
Okay, thank you for that.
As vice chair.
All right, perfect. Okay. Commissioner Elper.
Here.
Commissioner Forney.
Here?
Commissioner Rucker.
Here.
Vice Chair Musich.
Present.
Chair Schaefer.
Present.
You have a quorum.
May I have someone approve the agenda?
Also move.
All those all those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
May I have someone move the minutes for September 25th?
Also move the minutes of September 25th, 2025.
All those in favor of approving the minutes from September 25th, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have 3 action items before us this evening. May a commissioner please move the first one for us?
I'll move Resolution 2025-202. This is a resolution authorizing the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board to enter into a lease agreement with the Secretary of the Army to operate and maintain the trail located on property owned by the United States Army Corps of Engineers at Lock and Dam Number 1, immediately adjacent to Minnehaha Regional Park.
Great, thank you. Do any commissioners have any concerns or questions about this particular item they'd like to ask staff? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of Resolution 2025-202, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I'll move Resolution 2025-209, resolution approving an amendment number 2 to the fundraising agreement between the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and Voices of the Roses, a 501c3 organization related to the Lindale Park Rose Garden.
Thank you, Commissioner Forney. We've heard some testimony this evening from our public hearing time. Thank you for those that came and spoke. Does anyone have any questions about this either agreement, past or present? Commissioner Muschitz?
I do not have any questions. I just wanted to thank the Voices of the Roses that are in the audience this evening for taking the time to not only come and tell us about how important the garden is to so many and how passionate you are about making it even better, but that you've stuck around till 6:52 to listen to us debate this. I know that the Rose Garden has gotten the support that it's needed through the years that you've been working with us on this. It's looking really, really good. It's one of the destinations that I bring people to when they're visiting from outside the state. So thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Commissioner Rucker?
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank you everybody for sticking around because I'm born and raised here, and that's one of the places that we always went to is the Rose Garden. With that being said, I'm 100% behind this resolution and looking for going there many, many more years.
Thank you, Commissioner Rucker. And yes, thank you for everyone who stayed. And of course, I am 100% behind these kind of agreements and support systems for our park system with friends groups. And please know that your value and your input is hugely beneficial to us. So thank you for all your efforts, and we look forward to the magic that you will work as you head into this process. So all those in favor of Resolution 2025-209, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Congrats. The last resolution?
I'll move Resolution 2025-193. This is a resolution approving an agreement between the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and the Port of Minneapolis, LLC, related to the operation of the Community Performing Arts Center as it affects the adjoining parkway at the Upper Harbor, lying within the Above the Falls Regional Park and related to the advancement of the Upper Harbor Park Development Project.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent Schroeder, I think it would be important for us to hear with some of the back and forth and emails that we've had,
Yes.
to have a presentation on this.
Chair Schaefer, I'll run through a presentation that highlights the main points. I think it would be useful also if I were to offer Council Rice a chance to speak to this because he's been integrally involved in trying to shape this. But I'll try and hit the major points. I'll skip past some of the previous slides that we went through that just kind of establish the basis of the project, the development plan that you've seen before, and I'll start here with the CPAC. This would be a project that's sponsored by First Avenue and the Minnesota Orchestra, owned and operated by an entity called Port of Minneapolis. Importantly, the next 2 points, the capacity of 8,200 people, and the city has granted a noise waiver of 54 events. That number is important because that's the number of times that the POM might be asking for a closure of the parkway. And that's a significant difference from the number of parkway closures currently in board policy. There's a series of key terms that I'll walk through and try and make sure I capture, and we can dive deeper into any one of these as we need to. The agreement would guarantee that the phase 2 of the parkway, that's the portion that's, I'll try and highlight it on this drawing. It's this portion that runs, this being the CPAC or the venue, this portion of the parkway running down and exiting out to 33rd. And that roadway and what's called the shared drive, which is this one that runs along the land side of the parcels away from the river and connecting back to the roundabout at 33rd. Those would both be completed prior to the opening of the CPAC. The process would use shuttle buses for events that are greater than 1,500 patrons. They would only use this, what we call the phase 2 portion of the parkway, and it would be operated according to an event traffic management plan with shuttles coming in, looping on the shared access drive, and coming back out. There would be the closure of the parkway with the park board taking responsibility for a closure at the south end of the CPAC and also at Dowling. There would be other closures when shuttles are used to facilitate the fair movement of the shuttles that are necessary to get people in and out of here. So that's the first 4. Continuing through, the POM would be required to provide some notification of street closures related to events. The permits would be required for a parkway closure for any of those events that are greater than 1,500. And the fees would cover the permit and essentially the expenses related to that, which would be the 2 police officers and the squad cars. We note that the cost may vary from year to year for the kind of the expense side of things, which would be the police officer time and the squad cars. The rate for the fee would be based on the fee that's approved by the board as part of its budget every year. The park board may benefit from trying to have some revenue for parking on the parkway. That's not a guarantee, but it's something we would look at. Through this agreement, the POM would be responsible for cleanup of any litter or debris on the parkway, repairing any damage. The POM would be required to ensure the tenants of the yet undeveloped parcels to the south of the CPAC would have access to the shared drive. There would be a requirement for the POM to pay for a staff coordinator during events during the first year and attending monthly meetings. The monthly meetings will become important in making certain that the POM and the park can operate efficiently together. And the agreement even notes that this is made difficult because none of the parties have ever done this on this site before. and there was a requirement for the POM to make an annual report to the Board of Commissioners. The term of the agreement is 20 years, with an extension beyond that first 20-year period, and we note that the rights aren't assignable to another party. And I think maybe Council Rice, if you have anything you want to offer to this, because you've been so integrally involved in these discussions.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, and we're in committee, right? Chair Schaefer. This matter came before the board, well, it's been before the board several times. The initial concept was last year in August. The board looked at an amendment to the Parkway memorandum on the Parkway operation to facilitate the circulation that the city and CPED and the operator wanted. And then the next step was that we enter into effectively something that's been termed the good neighbor agreement. In other words, how will these things work on a day-by-day basis? And also in light of this project is getting significant state money, they're a bit under the gun to start getting those dollars appropriated and move forward with construction of this site with the city. That's a big impetus for this. We had hoped to have this agreement concluded by the end of September, but we're really pretty much on time with the October one. I could go through one by one, but what I would say of the issues that I heard from the board were several. Michael mentioned this under point 11. POEM offered up that they would pay for our staff time in the first year and have monthly meetings to coordinate to see how this actually works out. At this point, we're talking about something that's probably at least 2 years away and how it works. We could all, as I said, we could all try to count how many angels will dance on the head of a pin tonight, but we won't really know that answer until it actually happens. So I think that by having POEM work with our staff, which would basically be Annie Olson and Shane Stenzel, the Visitor Services Division, is important. They'd have monthly meetings. And as you saw tonight, the Lopet gave a report. We modeled that so that the people that operate the facility will be making annual reports to the board, because obviously they have a significant asset with the city, and the park board has a significant asset with the parkway and with the park. I think the issue about shared access and POEM pushing that, we are not interested in having more curb cuts on our parkway. That's a general thing. I mean, we do it only in essential circumstances. There is this shared driveway, and that they would do that. One of the other another distinction that's made here, if you look at the map, there'll be the blue circular drive. The parkway will be closed. Essentially, the access from Washington on Dowling into the park will be effectively closed to general traffic, but we believe that this has a revenue opportunity for the park board because people will want to park along the parkway or at other spots during events. We'll work with POEM to facilitate that. There's an estimate on that Mr. Stenzel had that indicated could be, I want to be careful here with 54 events, but he thought it could be in excess of $100,000 a year from parking. The park would still be open. It just wouldn't be open for vehicular traffic when these events occur. POEM is agreeing to clean up the parkway for any things that could happen as a result of the use there. But there is a rather clear line that, look, this is a public park. There's no expectation that the facility operator or the event operator will have to clean up our park because it is a public park. However, I think at the time the board considered this in August, it was very much in doubt whether or not the city's budget would fund the Upper Harbor Terminal. I would say as our negotiations went along, and this is a tribute to you, President Abeni, and really all the commissioners who have, Commissioner Mentz, everyone who worked on that, got the money in the budget. So the dollars will be here in the base budget to have the staffing of the park there, which I think alleviates a little concern that we're going to be taking on this new thing without any kind of permanent staff. I think the Board of Estimate, Mr. Brandt, and Commissioner Pree, and really Commissioner Chugtai, all the BET members that voted for that levy really deserve some credit to take some pressure off this board of saying, wait a minute, we've got this new project, and now on top of this new project, we've got another issue. Michael, if you could roll that back, I do think that, I think we'd have to defer to staff on what the potential, but there is, according to Shane, there's significant potential revenue from parking if the board decides they want to do that. POEM is agreeing to pay our standard permit fees, which any other event would happen. And that's not a fee that we make money on. It's more just our cost. It's kind of our sunk cost. The police officers have an agreement. We have a big event. We have security there, and the event person has to pay for that security, so that doesn't become an additional burden on the board. It is true that this parkway would be closed much more frequently than would be the standard for their system. And that's hence the main need for the agreement, or a primary need to do it, because you're essentially giving this organization an exemption from that standard policy that you have where you only close a parkway, I think it's 2 or 3 times a summer. And then there are some other features here that POEM would be allowed to erect signs, so there could be notice to the public, like concert this weekend, or so-and-so is playing, and where parking is available or not. We think that that's actually something they propose, but we can see that as being advantageous to how this site runs. And I don't know if the first few points, Michael, could you roll me back? I'm kind of going in reverse order. I would say to this that we point that out, there's shuttle buses, it's a complex transportation plan, but I would say in giving the city its due credit, this parkway is being built to a very high standard. The city is paying for the, on the south end, they're upgrading the parkway and they're building it to handle buses. So this is, I can't remember, Mr. Hanson is here. I think the city's spending either $2 or $3 million to build out the parkway for the park board. It'll be our parkway, but built to a much higher standard to withstand the buses on the parkway. So all in all, these were not like any negotiations. I can't say they weren't easy. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of time spent on a lot of consultation staff. I think I want to thank Mr. Schroeder. He kind of came, he was supervising this, but he came in and kind of kept us on track.
Thank you, Council Rice. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Schroeder. Vice Chair Musich.
Thank you, Chair Schaefer. So I appreciate the $3 million the city of Minneapolis is putting into making these parkways be able to handle the more intense traffic. That's great. Thank you for that, because we do have heavy traffic on other parts of our parkway, and wow, does it really do a number on them. So thank you for making the life of that be extended further. When we're talking about shutting down the parkways, I know we're also talking about having housing built in this location. Will there be adequate options for residents to be able to get in and out of the developments if those parkways are unavailable to them during these 53 closures a year?
Chair Schaefer, Commissioner Musich, just one thing, 54.
54, sorry.
So the housing would be directed to the northerly end of the parkway here. And so there would have to be some accommodation at this intersection of Dowling and Washington. Our parkway closure at Dowling and Washington would keep people from going south on the parkway, but not prevent people from going to the north. So the critical point of access would be controlled not by our park police, but by the closure that happens at Washington and Dowling.
Okay, and is the infrastructure being built in such a way, since this is such an abnormally large amount of closures for a parkway, are we building out the infrastructure in such a way that it allows us to easily make those closures happen, or are people going to be subjected to like piles of cones and unsightly barricades just piling up when they're not in use for closure on an ongoing basis?
Chair Schaefer and Vice Chair Musich, the agreement calls for the construction of gates by POM. There is no design yet, but it would be actually constructed gates that would be deployed when we have to make a closure.
Okay, good to know.
And Commissioner Musich, that would be at where you see the red dots.
Yes.
Okay.
On the map.
Very good. I didn't know what we were envisioning that would look like, if it's something temporary, something built, something that's really unsightly, because I know I get a lot of complaints from people that are like, hey, there hasn't been an event for a week. Why do we still have cones or barricades sitting out there? So I just, since this is being purpose-built for this, I would just love to think it through the best way we can. Thanks for that.
Great. Commissioner Forney.
Thank you. I just first of all have to say I'm very, 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 very excited about this venue. I really am, okay? But I do have an awful lot of concerns, and it's because it's so unique, so different, and I just want to make sure that all of our antennas are out to make sure that whatever, we put in the possibilities of something, whatever, going wrong is the best way I can say it. And I say that because of the fact that there's things such as we have an active rail line. In other words, there's still a railway that's going through here. And North Minneapolis also knows that very close to that and everything, a similar thing. And traffic is stopped, which means also things like emergency vehicles cannot get in there. So it's things like that. That's why I express concern about it. But I want it to go forward. I really do. Okay. So just a few things that being this is moving straight to the board and everything, I don't know if these can be done in an addendum or something like that, but I think at one point in time we had talked about if there was any light impact. I know there's sound impact in there, but light impact I think is something we should be somehow putting in there. I didn't quite understand whether or not are these police patrol or police officers, and therefore, you know, do we have the bandwidth to be able to do that? I'm also curious whether or not there's any year-round usage in the building. So will any of it be activated during the year, during the winter? And then as far as the 20-year renewal and everything, when that 20 renewal might start to be negotiated, a year, 2 years. I mean, the MPP 20, we don't have a 30-day window. It's far more longer than that. So I just want to be assured of that. And I think it's so important for people to understand there is some sort of feeling that this is a cash cow. It's the first time I've heard that there is a possibility of some revenue source and everything. But as far as what I can see, this is not a cash cow for us. Whatever. And what else do I have there? Just things like trash. I would encourage the vendors, you know, to please do maximum recycling. This could be a great example of, you know, how recycling can happen. And I just think that's important. Trying to see if there's other things I have in here, but I'm excited, but I am concerned, being that the city is owning the majority of the land in this area, continuing to carry it. I was going to suggest
Thank you,
invest in
Commissioner
parking,
Forney.
a ramp.
Assistant Superintendent Schroeder, maybe you could take some of those questions, and then possibly Chief Ohado, if you want to address some of the officer questions.
I can, Chair Schaefer, I can address a couple of them. The notion of the venue is that it's an open-air performance venue, but there is an interior space with a capacity. It's like a 2,500 square foot space, so it's not large. I don't know what the capacity is of that space, but 2,500 people would not be anywhere near even the smaller events that might go on in the performance venue. I'll note, relative to your comment about lighting, this is an agreement about the use of the parkway, and not the venue, not specific to the venue itself and how that operates. That would be a function of how the city is reviewing it through their planning processes. The renewal of the agreement, I think, Council Rice, you might want to respond to that, and then I'll let Chief Ohado speak to the closures.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Forney, yes, the extension was critical because the vendor, the operator, is getting undertaking legal obligation to build the building out. And so they wanted to have the ability to make sure they could show their lender that they've actually got site control over a longer period of time. However, they wanted to just be able to assign it. We said, no, we want to have the right to sign off on it. there also is state bond money involved in it, and so hence they needed to also show the state that they had control in that. So we did look at that issue pretty quickly, and that was a bit of a point of contention. I would say, and Commissioner Forney, I took notes when you talked in August, and I think they were all very valid. On the trash issue, we did raise it. That's why they have to clean up the parkway where they're using it. Chief Ojeda will address the officers. I didn't highlight this, but there is an agreement about what happens if smaller groups use it. So the venue at 8,500 is the Concerts Outdoor Amphitheater. There's an inside building which the community wanted that is available for like graduations, community events. What happens in that case, the site operator will alert the park board and say, hey, we've got another event coming in. And if there's a need for additional closures or something, we'll have to address that at the time, and it's not an automatic entitlement. And on the issue, we heard you about the cash cow, and the issue was very clear. We kept telling CPED, although they couldn't control it, I mean, look, we've got a park and there's nobody there to operate it, but that issue got solved in the BET. And Mr. Stenzel, as you know, and Annie Olson did look at the plan, and they have some ideas about revenue and what you could get for parking to people to come in and get closer to the facility. And I think Chief Ojeda would be.
Yes, thank you, Chief Ojeda.
Chair Schaefer, Commissioner Forney, I appreciate the question. This is something that is going to be implemented probably in 2027. We are definitely up against it with capacity in the summer season, and adding 50 some events between April and May, and through the end of September, 2 officers per event, is going to press our capacity even further. We need to start thinking enterprise-wide around how we're providing security for events across our park system, and start calibrating resources, particularly human resources, officer resources, to match the demands of these events. That being said, we are committed to supporting the work and the agreement. I want commissioners to understand, though, why we're closing this parkway. This little stretch of parkway, which is depicted in red, is the access road to the park that is adjacent to the parkway. There is no parking for 8,200 people at this site. So what we're afraid of is people who are trying to drive to this site to attend the concert will then create a log jam in the red part of the parkway that we're going to be closing, because if they turn in there and they get trapped in the park, there's nowhere for them to go. There's very limited parking on this site, and if you've been to the site, there's not a real lot of options to be able to move traffic through the site and get people in and out of there. So we feel the safest way to operate that park in an outdoor concert that might have up to 8,200 people is to close that stretch of parkway so that we don't have countless concert goers trying to find very few parking spots so that they can park on site.
Thank you, Chief. That's very helpful. Commissioner Brucker.
Question for you, Chief. Is it possible, I've seen it done before, you're saying you'll be stretched with officers. Is it possible to do mutual aid with Minneapolis officers?
Chair Schaefer, Commissioner Rucker, yes. Minneapolis has also got a deficit of officers right now. And Minneapolis traffic control agents are going to be controlling all of the intersections during events that are on 2nd Street and on Washington Avenue. So we're not going this alone. The city's a good partner. They've been involved in the event traffic management plan as well. And there is agreement, or they are working towards an agreement with Minneapolis Traffic Control.
Great, thank you. I do not see any further lights. Thank you for that detailed explanation. I know there's some trepidation a little bit heading into something new, but I think overall this is going to be an exciting project for the north side, and a new venture that can continue to drive community engagement in that area and outsiders to come to that area as well. So thank you for that. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-193, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. President Abeni, do we want to move to planning, or do you want me to bring forward? Okay. Yes, the meeting is adjourned.
On behalf of the Planning Committee, I would like to begin the meeting. How am I saying this wrong? Anyway, will the secretary please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair Forney. Commissioner Elper,
Here.
Commissioner Rucker,
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Here.
and is it Vice Chair Musich on this one?
No.
Okay.
Olson?
On planning, who did you?
Okay, Commissioner Musich
Present.
and Chair Forney.
There.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That action carries. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of August 20th.
Also move the minutes of August 20th, 2025.
Great, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That action carries. On to then our one action item. Somebody will move that, please.
I'll move Resolution 2025-205. It's a resolution approving installation of a public art sculpture by Kyle Foken at Logan Park and approving a license and maintenance agreement for the artwork with the Logan Park Neighborhood Association. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. My assumption is that people would like to have a presentation because I just am, the visual is what I'm excited about. And so please, Senior Planner Odell, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners, Chair Forney, Commissioners. Tonight I'm presenting public art proposal that's sponsored by the Logan Park Neighborhood Association in Northeast Minneapolis, and this is for the Gathering Place Bench by artist Kyle Foken. So the proposal for this artwork is really more of a third space gathering. So it's not just the piece itself, but the piece itself is a semicircular, multi-level, what we're calling a creature bench, that's going to have some LED lights under the bottom that will change colors slowly over the course of an evening. The material, the metal material of the bench is going to have perforated patterns of different animals. And I will say that the design, we've been working with Kyle in the neighborhood for a while, going back and forth, because it does incorporate footings and it does incorporate electricity, just to make sure that our staff were comfortable with it. And Kyle will be fabricating the sculpture, and then LP&A will hire a contractor. Here's a list of some of the materials. So the artwork is not only the sculpture, but also the entrance into it, the ground cover, and the trees surrounding it. So this is the northern part of Logan Park, and this would be just west of the Recreation Center, just northwest of the existing timber frame pavilion that the neighborhood helped sponsor. And it would share the electrical system of that pavilion. So artist Kyle Foken is a Minneapolis-based mixed media sculptor, and he's got many years of experience with outdoor public art projects. You may have seen this one, Top Dog, in South Minneapolis. That's the first one here, the dog with the hat. You can see it's using vintage toy folk art aesthetics. It's really fun and pleasant artwork, and you can check out his additional work at this website down here. So the neighborhood began the discussion about having some sort of lighted feature in the park back before the pandemic. And so there's been a lot of discussions and a lot of energy that they've put into this, including all this community engagement. And because of the electrical aspect of this, the technical review was not only our staff, but also the Minneapolis Public Art Advisory Board. They gave us some feedback as well. So Logan Park Neighborhood Association is putting up the budget for the project. And just like all of the other art projects we've been bringing, it'll be owned and maintained by the neighborhood organization for 10 years renewable. And they have set aside 10% of the project costs
to do that. And the hope is installation possibly this year, but probably next year. So I want to thank Patricia Vogel, who couldn't be here tonight. She's been working very hard on this project on behalf of the Neighborhood Association. But I do want to thank, we are joined by Jael Shack, who is also with the Neighborhood Organization, and artist Kyle Fokin, in case you have any questions or suggestions for them.
Questions, commissioners? Yes.
Thank you.
Vice President Musich.
Thank you, Chair Forney. It's so weird that I don't have to say I'm not on this committee. I'm still getting used to that. So I'm excited to see that you get to have a piece of your work in the parks. I love the whimsical nature of what you create, so I'm excited to see that we get to house something that you're putting so much of your joy and soul into. With the lighting piece, is that something where it's like triggered by sunset, or is it on a timer, or how does that work? I'm very curious.
Yeah, actually, thanks for letting me appear to you tonight. So what we've been working with is that we've been working with, we just had a meeting with our electrician recently, and he says, we can hook it up to the lighting that's already with the pavilion. So pavilion, as the pavilion goes dark, that will automatically trigger a sensor there that will turn their lights on. And we're just gonna be just basically bootstrapping off of that.
Okay, so then when the lights turn off outside for the building itself, then the lighting for the sculpture would also turn off? Okay, and so when we talk to community about lighting that was on all night long, they're cool with that? Largely?
Yeah, I believe so. They're pretty low level LED lightings. One of the things that we had started off a while back when we were vetting this is that there was concern about light pollution, and this is just so much low intensity light that you're not really gonna be, it doesn't bleed out for very far.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for answering that question for me. I appreciate it.
Great, very exciting. The only thing that I was concerned about is, as far as under these benches, is it like a foot? Is it like how much space and everything? And just more concerned of like safety, I don't know, whatever, trash,
Absolutely.
anything, yeah.
Yeah, those are all good questions. Essentially, the thing is that I designed it according to ADA standards, which is, I think, maximum 22 inches. I haven't looked at my diagram for a bit. It's designed so I'm a parent, I live in the neighborhood, and when I used to bring my kids to the park, they would like to climb on everything. So I thought I'd make it a nice approachable little area on the tail end for a toddler to climb up. And you see that it's all stepped. So it's designed to allow people at different stages of their lives. As I'm getting older, I realize I don't want to sit down in a bucket seat anymore. So that's why the center of the bench is a little bit higher. And it's also designed so that if you want to, you can straddle and put your laptop up there. So more specifically to answer your question, yeah, you can climb underneath parts of it. But I think we're looking at about 6 inches for the lowest part. And then I think it goes up to 10 and then goes up to 12. It's not unlike a lot of benches or park equipment.
Great. No, it's a lovely, lovely, lovely design, very inspiring, so I appreciate it. Not seeing any other lights. Thank you so much, Kyle. And I will then, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? That action carries. And on that, I will then recess or adjourn the meeting here at 7:28.
We have a couple more things here, then I'll reopen the main meeting. And we need the resolution brought forward from Admin and Finance.
Sure, I will move forward the resolution 2025-193. This is a resolution approving an agreement between the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and the Port of Minneapolis LLC related to the operation of the Community Performing Arts Center as it affects the adjoining parkway at the Upper Harbor, lying within the Above the Falls Regional Park and related to the advancement of the Upper Harbor Park Development Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, is there discussion? Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, so yeah, I think this agreement is certainly a good start and something we can come back to and edit as needed as we kind of see what it's like in reality. Just kind of wanted to mention as part of like making, getting some funds out of this around parking, certainly. Absolutely prove that and would hope that, staff bring us forward some sort of options around that. I would also say within our own parking that we have there, we could absolutely do something like, food truck court or something like that. For these large events, it could be and sell sort of, premium licenses to be able to serve there. I absolutely think that the options for us to be able to subsidize officers, to subsidize maintenance of this park are really quite high. And so I hope before this is completely operational that staff come forward to us with various options that we can kind of look at and analyze. But otherwise, happy to get this agreement going and look forward to the future.
Other questions, discussion? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take this to a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-193, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We'll now move to petitions and communications, and I'll start with Commissioner Forney this time.
Thank you. I was honored to be at the Awamni Okoroyapi fundraiser, and their vision is incredibly exciting, and I am just so grateful for their stewardship of our relative. So I'm really excited about it. I also want to announce or whatever, remind everybody the Posters for Parks, which is a fundraiser ultimately for the Minneapolis Parks Foundation, is Saturday the 11th from 2 to 6 at the Sea Salt. And I wish he was still here, but he is ever present, I think, with all of us. And that is the wonderful article that was done by Coach Tate in the Star Tribune and showing his commitment to this community. And I'm just so grateful. I had the honor of running for Park Board with him as he was a candidate for commissioner. And I'm so proud of his voice that continues. And thank you, Mike. Coach Talley.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson?
Pass.
Commissioner Rucker?
Pass.
Commissioner Elper?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to share a few things. Let me see. Let me start off by saying my daughter is in 3rd grade. That's my youngest daughter. And as part of 3rd grade, all dual language elementary school 3rd graders, so that's Emerson, Las Estrellas, and Green Central, all get to participate in a nature program with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board at North Mississippi Regional Park. So she's going to go on 3 separate field trips this year, so 3 days where she'll visit the park and she'll get to experience the different seasons, so fall, winter, and spring. And I just think it's an incredible program, and I'm so happy that she gets the opportunity to participate in that alongside approximately 299 other 3rd graders. So I really hope that program continues, and I just want to say thanks to everybody involved in making that possible on the Park Board side. I also want to express my appreciation to fellow commissioners for continuing to move forward the process of the name change at the CIPRO site to Parque Monarca. I really think that's, I deeply appreciate that. And last but certainly not least, I am so thrilled, and Jeremy Barrick is not in the room, but I would like to say thank you for all the work of Assistant Commissioner Jeremy Barrick, as well as, I believe, Becky Braun, Jack Barsh, and many others, especially in the horticulture, on the horticulture team, for brainstorming around ice rinks and coming up with a plan for this winter. So it's in P's and C's, but if you'll entertain this, I'd like to share a little bit of the plan for this winter, because I think it's really important to share what's happening. So if you recollect, there was an effort to reduce the budget that we passed last year had a $67,000 reduction in in outdoor ice rink implementation. And so over the past couple weeks since the last board meeting, staff have worked to find some budget savings and implement ice rinks so that essentially that budget change stays, there's no impact to ice rinks this summer. So, this winter, excuse me. Whew. Yeah, also in summer, there's no budget impact this summer. So I just want to share the plan with you so you know what's going to happen. So staff has revisited the 2025-2026 implementation plan and revised it to the following. Asset management will ensure realization of full budget impact, which was $67,782 within the 2025 budget through other department savings. The ice rinks at Powderhorn and Weber Parks will be constructed and maintained on land, which is really exciting. I know that Powderhorn people contacted me about having that ice rink eliminated on the lake, but so I'm thrilled that it will be on land. So it will be there this winter. Wyndham will remain one hockey rink with a general skate area. Logan will remain 2 broomball rinks and a general skate area. The warming trailers will be installed at Matthews, Lindale Farmstead, at Lake Hiawatha, Weber, and Powderhorn. The warming trailer will be installed at Lake of the Isles. So essentially, everything is going to be stellar this winter, and I just want to tell you how that has changed things. To address staffing for this plan, moving the rinks to land at Powderhorn and Weber will alleviate staffing pressure. And I'm ad-libbing here, but caused by needing additional staff on water, on ice. Horticulture staff preference and seasonal planning work will be reduced to 3 horticulturalists, so thank you to the horticulture team. And the water truck pilot will continue at the same 5 sites, Lake Hiawatha, Bryan Square, Bohannon, and Lindale Farmstead. And we are going to continue the community skate program. So thank you, all around, thank you.
I'll clap for that too. Commissioner Schaefer.
Yeah. Again, I send my thanks as well. That's huge. The other thing I'll mention is that thank you to the rec staff and Assistant Superintendent Hernandez for organizing a community meeting at Kenwood Rec Center on October 30th to hear input around District 4 programming. So I've already been spreading the news about this to neighborhood organizations. They're very excited to meet you, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout.
We're starting, that's great. And I also wanted to reiterate that just to thank you for the ice plan. I mean, unfortunately, we could have no ice, but that's a reality that's going to have to be dealt with next year. But I think that it was smart to just open them all up and see what happens, and we're going to go for it. I did want to comment on something in the P's and C's as well. So I've gotten a lot of feedback about the MPS and MPRB work together on the fields, and I just want to reiterate and raise to this board's attention that the Jackson Square site is going to be very challenging for the community. So I'm hoping that we can somehow change that. The community in that little park did not ever anticipate lights in that space. They didn't even anticipate the fence being up. It's a great little ballpark, but it's just not the intention of that land use. And I think that there is a better, and many people believe that there is a better site right at the Northeast Athletic Fields, which seems like a more logical place for that land use. So I just hope that we can sort of move forward and change that for that plan moving forward. And I know that's going to take some school district approval, but hoping we can get that accomplished before we set that in stone. And I know that a lot of our softball friends and neighbors would also like that place. It would cost us less money. There's already lights there. There's 2 sites. So it works a lot better. And I don't trust the school district's community engagement on that issue as to why they wanted to choose that site over another one. So really want to make sure that we raise that level as I'm leaving the board. You'll probably hear from me again if that comes up. And last, I've been walking around and doing some door knocking around Prospect Park, and what I love about door knocking is you find out so many things from constituents. You find out things that you didn't even know about. And in that area along the parkway, there is a new parking facility from the University of Minnesota that is not being utilized, that cars are parking all along the parkway and into somewhat of our land and somewhat of their land, but it's creating a really big nuisance. So I don't know if there's any way that somebody on staff or the superintendent, I mentioned it to President Abeni, it's creating a real big danger along that parkway, and it's the unintended use, and people are just avoiding paying for parking and then utilizing our parking as workspace parking during the day. So that's something that just came up that I wanted you all to know about. Finally, I got to do my final ribbon cutting. So I hung up the ribbon. We were at Luxton Park. I don't know if any of you have been to Luxton Park, but Luxton Park is a pretty cool place because it's really a Somali cultural center as well for youth. And people show up there, people from the Glendale housing complex. And now a lot of students at Edison are zoned from that space. So it's just a really interesting place of where the Somali community comes together, and especially the young people, and how those third spaces sometimes it's not only for Somali community, but you can tell that the young people feel very safe there. They feel very included there. And I think that, thinking about where those spaces happen organically, North Commons Park is obviously a space that is very, very Black and very, much represents the young people who attend that place. So I think that as we move forward, thinking about how we define those places and celebrate that and allow everyone in, but creating spaces where people feel ownership, because then they really have impactful, meaningful moments. And now having a Spark Studios there, where this board, where we've invested in that space that has kind of been dilapidated over the years, they see that. They see us doing that. A lot of the boys who, they would still like us to keep the park building open until 9 o'clock so they can play basketball. But we heard a lot about that as well. But just hearing those voices, those park buildings are just the lifeblood of this space for young people for sure. And was really proud to be able to share that space with President Abeni and Superintendent Bangura. I didn't quite get to her yet, but maybe I will in a few weeks.
Thank you. Vice President Musich.
Thanks, President Abeni. I'm going to buck the trend tonight, and I'm going to put out in the universe that now that we've got some, appropriately seasonal fall weather here in October, I am very hopeful that we will see solid ice for ice skating. We will see snow falling at regular intervals for all fun winter activities. Sledding, can't wait to hit up that sledding hill with all of you at Worth. Cross-country skiing, just all the good, fun, outside, wintry things. And that is how I will close out my comments this evening, with positive winter thoughts for the winter season.
Awesome. I'm sure the right people heard that. I don't know who they are. So I just want to say I was at Luxton and we did the ribbon cutting, and 5 of 6 opened. The fifth Spark Studio opened. Yep. So, but the other thing, it's just so remarkable because that is kind of fun. I've been to a few of these, and why is it that the kids always get so excited? They do. They get so excited they're using scissors. Like, that's just the great thing about kids, I know, it's just, they're so cute. But I want to say something else too, because I didn't say this last time we had our meeting because I wasn't sure that Commissioner Thompson was going to resign for sure or not, to be honest. So I just want to say a couple of things here. I want to just say that Commissioner Thompson, I would like to acknowledge her. Commissioner Thompson was an intelligent, creative, and passionate park board commissioner who cares deeply about Minneapolis and its world-class park system. I appreciate the time we served on the board together, and I thank her for her service to the city. So thank you for letting me say that. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.